Okay, we now welcome on a very special guest, recurring guest. It is Christian Horner, team principal, Red Bull Racing. Thank you for joining us in person in Miami. I'm going to ask the most important question to start. It is probably the toughest question. Have you picked out your toilet this weekend? Because last time you were on, you told us you have your lucky toilet.
Yeah.
This is your second year in Miami.
No, exactly.
Do you know where you're going?
I'm trying to remember which one I used last year because that was pretty good.
Yes.
But I'm heading to the track straight after this, so do a bit of reconnaissance.
Yeah.
What do you look for in the toilet? Is it just a vibe? You look at it and you're like, yeah, that's the one right there. Or is there a quality that you look for?
I think anything that isn't called Toto.
Yeah.
I think it's just got to be convenient and available.
Smart.
It is because we're new to F1, so when we had you on,
Yeah.
we always don't know where the interview's like who's going to pick up what. But that was the story that everyone picked up from you being on the first time.
About the lucky toilet.
The lucky
Yeah.
toilet made press. That was it.
No, absolutely. Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, it was like, okay, I guess everyone wants to talk about this. So the season's been great so far.
Yeah.
You guys are in first. You have two guys who are competing for a championship. You said you're going to let them race.
Yep.
What exactly does let them race mean? Because obviously there's a point where you have to pull it back if you risk the team, right?
Yeah.
So how do you find that line?
Well, it's exactly that. It's finding that line because in Formula One you've got two competition. You've got the drivers' championship, which is where all the prestige and the hype and the fan interest is, and then you've got the constructors' championship, which is where the money is distributed and where we're measured against our rival teams. So both have a value, and of course both rely on both drivers scoring as many points as possible. So it's a question of just reminding the drivers that it's not their car, it's a team car,
right.
And they're representing the hopes of every single employee, of every single member of the team, all our partners and so on when they're racing our cars. And so long as they respect that, which so far they've been great, then we've got no problem allowing them to race each other in a clean and healthy way.
From the outside looking in, it feels like a good problem to have, right? Like in terms of problems that you could have in F1, having your car be so good that both your racers are competing for the championship. I would imagine you'd want that over every other problem.
This is the kind of problem that you dream about having.
Right.
This is a luxury problem, and it's not a problem. It's actually great to see the two guys pushing each other hard. It's great to see how Checo's made a step up. Now he's in a third year with us as well, and Max again continuing to evolve. And what we're seeing is the best of them. And I think over a 23 race championship, it's going to be fascinating. But what we can't do is take our eye off the ball of what's going on with the other teams, and we've got to make sure we keep edging away from them in both championships.
Yeah, in American media and sports, we always like to say if a team is too dominant, we like to have the conversation. It's probably the stupidest conversation that we have. Are they bad for the sport because they're so dominant? Is Red Bull bad for racing because you guys are so good right now?
Well, look, from my perspective, obviously not. But I think when you've got two teammates that are competing hard with each other like we have, that's another dynamic. It's another focus of interest. And don't write those other teams off because we're about to head back to Europe fairly shortly. Big upgrades we know are in the pipeline for some of our rivals, and this year we have a restricted amount that we can develop the car with in terms of time in the wind tunnel. So I'm expecting the others to come back at us, through the summer.
Can you explain to us the shortening of the DRS zones and what that means in this race? I think 2 out of the 3 they pulled back. Is that good for you or is that bad for Red Bull?
I think it depends if you're ahead or not. I mean, the DRS zone for when the flap opens that gives you an overspeed on the straight. Some have argued that it's been too easy to make an overtake. So I think that's why they've been trimming these zones to make it more wheel to wheel. And we'll see how that works in Miami. I think it had an impact in Azerbaijan. They trimmed it by 100 meters. Maybe it should have, I think with hindsight, been 50 rather than the 100 because there wasn't a huge amount of overtaking going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So your car's been dominant for a couple of years now. At what point in that process were you like, oh, we have something special? Like, at what point during the building of the car, you're like, we have something that no one else is going to have going forward?
Well, that's the thing. You just don't know.
Really?
And, last year was a big reset, new regulations. We turn up at the first test. Everybody's car looks a bit different, and then Mercedes look very different. And you think, wow, have we missed something dramatic here? And then, of course, 22 was an incredible year for us. And then we've just taken all those learnings and applied it into this car. And the car was a little bit heavy last year. We got the car on the weight limit and that kind of stuff, and just evolved the theme. And we've been surprised that the others haven't been closer to us so far, but feel that will come later in the year.
Yeah. So from a novice perspective, which we come at this sport from, we're learning it, we're getting into it.
Yeah.
Week to week, how many adjustments are made on the car? Is it just constantly evolving? Is it similar to a football team where it's like you see the first drive and then the coach says, all right, we got to change everything we planned because it's not working?
I think every track is different. Like Miami compared to last week in Azerbaijan, different surface, different type of corners, et cetera, et cetera. So it's different downforce levels. So you're constantly evolving and tuning the car. And then at strategic points within the budget that you have and the tools that you have, you're upgrading the car, the bodywork, the wings, the engine cover, the floor, the big performance, differentiators. So and teams strategically pick where they're going to introduce those upgrades. So and that's why I'm expecting when we head back to Europe, cars to start to converge a little.
That's interesting.
Do you like racing in America? Do you like the events that are taking place? We're expanding over here. We got Vegas coming up soon. You mentioned it was on your birthday.
Yeah.
Happy
well,
birthday.
It's very kind of them to put the event on my 50th birthday. I mean,
that's huge.
So
I mean,
you're going to win that race.
planned it specifically for that.
You have to win that race
for that weekend. So it's going to be an awesome event. I think it's going to be the biggest sporting event globally this year. I really do. I think that the interest and the hype around that race. I mean, a Saturday night race down the strip in Vegas. Who doesn't want to be there? Who does not want to see that race? And I think it's going to be such a spectacle. And I think racing in the States for us is very different. I mean, I'm very British, obviously, and coming over here, everybody's so friendly and a lot of high fives and fist pumps, even when you go out for a run. Mm-hmm. In England, you go for a run, nobody talks to you. Over here, everybody's super friendly. So. So that's taking an adjustment. But just the interest and the hype around Formula One is just amazing, and you guys put on a great show, and I'm sure we're going to see something a bit different this weekend as well.
Well, I would say also this weekend it's the coronation. What better coronation present?
Yeah,
for the
you're
king?
missing that.
Yeah,
you're missing
exactly.
it. But if you win, that's the ultimate gift, isn't it? To your king?
I'm sure he's going to be watching in between his duties. What's going on out in Miami, but it's a big weekend in the UK, but nothing bigger than that for us than being out here in Miami.
Yeah, that's true. So in America, we love the redemption arc of teams and sports, where a team has success, they get torn down, then they come back and they recover. You had 4 championships with Vettel. Red Bull was dominant.
Yep.
There was a period then where Mercedes takes over. Now you're back. Was there a moment in that entire path where you thought, like, I may never be back on the top? Like, it's getting bleak. It's getting hard. I don't, not even quitting, but just like you're forcing your head through a wall and you just can't get through.
Honestly, I don't think there was ever a point that we didn't believe we could get back. And I think it was having that culture, that can-do attitude. It was a question of, okay, we need to address where our weaknesses are. Why are they beating us? And Mercedes is an incredible team, and their achievements during that period have been record-breaking. But I think it just demonstrates that if you want something bad enough and you focus and apply yourself, you can achieve it. And sport, it always comes in cycles, whether it's Formula One or football or basketball or any form of sport. You always are going to see cycles of winning teams. And I think that for me, the challenge is how long can we keep this cycle going?
Yeah, because it is interesting, people who are getting to the sport in America right now, they see Red Bull dominant. They're probably like, oh, we don't like these guys, they always win. It's like, but you don't know the history that,
Yeah.
it was a stretch where they weren't winning and they were trying to get back up on top of the mountain, which is, that's the
Absolutely.
best part of sports.
I mean, look back 3 years. I mean, the domination we've had is believe it or not, we're not as dominant as Mercedes were, a few years ago. They finished, I think, first and second in the first 5 Grand Prix.
Right.
Look, and of course we've got this competition between our two drivers, and that's a whole different dynamic and a different responsibility from a team point of view, because suddenly it doesn't just become about racing the others. It becomes about just ensuring that both have got the same opportunity, and that as fairly as we can, even to the point of who drives out the garage first, we alternate from weekend to weekend. Who talks first in the debrief?
Yeah, you're under a microscope.
We go.
Yeah.
We alternate from weekend to weekend to ensure as much fairness as we can possibly provide.
It's really interesting because we were talking earlier this week about certain NBA coaches in basketball that have had to manage 2 superstars at one time.
Yeah.
So Phil Jackson, when he had
Shaq
Michael
and
Jordan,
Kobe, yeah.
Shaq and Kobe, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Spoelstra when he had the big 3 down here in Miami. So that's interesting how you try to keep everything fair. Are there certain elements of the different drivers' personalities that that, okay, this guy must need a little bit more encouragement on certain weekends, this person needs some tough love at this point? How do you manage dealing with those egos?
Well, they're all different, and sometimes they need an arm around the shoulder, sometimes they need a kick up the arse, but they're both great drivers, and there's a great dynamic between the two of them. And I think what Checo the way he's kicked off this year has been fantastic. And of course, all the races he's won for us so far have been on street tracks. And I think the challenge for him is going to come, okay, he knows, Max has been the most informed driver of arguably the last 5 years. So, he's got to keep this level across 23 events. And, we're just fortunate, and it's great to see the healthy competition that there is between these two great drivers.
Yeah, I saw that there was a bit of a stir when you made the comment, I think it was last week, that Checo was lucky in certain regards. Now, I think that's unfair to you because in any sport there is a certain element of luck that's involved. So in any race, depending on when you pit, all that stuff, these small fractions of a second make a big difference. How much of racing is luck, in your opinion?
Well, I think it sometimes plays a role, and it's how you use it at the end of the day as well. And look, what happened with the safety car last weekend? Checo benefited because he had a shorter time in the pit lane, because when the safety car comes down, everything slows down, and so he gained a track position without having to make the overtake on track. But then he had to convert that. Right. And not on one lap did he ever let Max get close enough to get into that DRS zone, and at one point pulled out a 3.7 second lead. And it was a phenomenal race, from him. But, you look back to Jeddah or Saudi last year, he was in the lead, took a pit stop, and the safety car out, and it benefited Max. And, he was unlucky on that day. Max got lucky. So it tends to even itself out, these situations over the course of a season. But the comment was not in reference to him having a lucky win. It was a lucky scenario that he then converted. And man, did he put in a competitive race.
I think that's totally fair.
It's the ball bounce. Like we watch, we watch it all the
Exactly.
time. The ball bounces your way sometimes. It doesn't mean that you don't deserve a win. It's just that's how the ball bounces.
And Max recognized that. He said, "Look, the opposite happened in Jeddah last year. That's the way it goes sometimes.
Right.
That's sport."
So speaking on that though, you're mic'd up during the race.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic thing for the viewers. We love being able to see what's going on in the control center and how you're talking to the drivers. Are you going forward going to be like, I'm not going to say some things now because everything's got under a microscope?
If you just respond to what people are writing on social media or whatever, then we're just going to end up with robots. You've got to respond to what you're seeing and what you're feeling and what you believe the drivers are feeling. And of course, sometimes you've got to pick drivers up. Sometimes you've got to manage expectations and so on. And I see that is part of my role is to do that. And the most important thing is to deal with it openly and honestly.
So we like to troll on this show. We like to basically make a mockery of the media and kind of get the media Just an idea, throwing it out there.
Yeah.
We're saying this. It's going to be on a podcast. Maybe when you're on an open mic, you say to Max over the weekend, like, you're my favorite son ever. And then everyone flips out. And then they're like, no, wait, we planned this whole thing.
Yeah.
Good idea, right?
I mean, you guys are changing the dynamic of radio calls.
You could just it was obviously a joke. We said it out loud.
Yeah.
We said we were joking.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I'm even thinking of selling, the space that, Max, this message is brought to you by Cash App.
Yeah. Why not throw a rollback ad in there?
Absolutely.
We'll give you some ads that you can pitch from our show.
Yeah. I like it. I like this idea.
Yeah, just be like, I said it on Part of My Take. I was going to say this, and then say it.
Yeah.
And then people will run with it, and then be like, no, you guys are idiots. You're not doing your job.
Yeah.
So we can get the media.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
The problem is people always pick out little bits that they want to hear or they want to see, and the most important thing is what our drivers feel and what our team feels. So to be honest with you, I don't really give a shit what others think. It's about what they think and what the team thinks.
Yeah, actually, you can't cuss on this podcast, though.
You can't.
No, you can't.
Sorry,
you can say whatever you want. Fuck,
you
shit,
can,
bitch,
ass,
motherfucker. You can say anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we can say literally anything.
What's your favorite
Well, not
swear word?
anything.
My favorite swear word?
Yeah.
Ooh, good question.
Yeah, that's...
British people swear well.
Yeah.
Do they swear? They
Yeah.
swear.
Classy. It sounds classy when you guys
sounds
do it.
more
When I say
classy.
motherfucker, everyone's like, shut Kid
motherfucker.
Rock up.
Yeah, no, when
Yeah.
it's like when you get like a viral clip of like a British guy watching his soccer team.
when I said change your fucking car,
Yeah.
I'm now seeing T-shirts with that on. I mean,
Yeah.
it's-
Change your fucking car.
I like that.
I like that too.
There you go.
So yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, welcome to America. We want to be gracious hosts. Part of American culture is being very kind to our guests. So, in that spirit, I just have a little bit of American trivia for you.
Okay,
if that's all right.
go on in.
Who won the Revolutionary War?
Good question.
Who was in it?
It was the colonies, the United States, and Great Britain.
Well, you guys obviously got Independence Day that came off the back of it, and so on. So
Never
All right.
forget.
yeah, never forget.
That's the only question that I have in
Yeah,
American
no,
trivia.
there you go. It's easy.
Follow-up
Oh wait,
question.
I have a question too.
Okay,
I have a
go on.
trivia question. How many Super Bowls has England won?
Super Bowls as England won.
Yeah.
Well, is the Manchester United playing the Super Bowl?
Nope. So
It's
yeah,
a
the answer
Super
is
League.
zero. You guys have not won
that's
any
the Super
Super Bowls. That's kind of pathetic, but whatever.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
maybe someday.
Exactly.
And then third question, did you watch the United States against England in the World Cup this year?
Yes, I did.
Who won that draw?
That's even. Do you know what? That shows my following of football. We won that one. Huh?
No, we won the draw.
no,
It was
we
a
won the
zero-
draw.
It was a
Was
0-0.
was it a nil?
Yeah, we won
You
it,
guys will
though.
take that as a victory. Now.
We
Right,
won that draw.
exactly. So we
Exactly,
won.
yeah.
You probably got lucky on
You
the day.
lost the
Well,
draw. We won the draw.
Christian
okay.
Pusilich hit the crossbar. It was off the woodwork. We won that draw.
Wait, who's your soccer team?
Who's my soccer? I like a team called Coventry City. They're in the second tier
Championship League. Yeah.
championship. They're getting to the playoffs.
Okay.
They're there. My grandfather used to be a part of that team, so that's why I've got an interest.
That's big.
Yeah.
Hopefully they get up to the EPL.
But I tell you what, the women's game. I went to see the women play football the other day, and they are kicking butt. They are doing
and they don't flop.
unbelievably well.
And they don't
And
flop.
they won a penalty shootout. I
Yeah.
mean, the men fluff the penalties all the time. The women, bang.
Yeah. No, they don't.
They
They
beat Brazil the other day. Unbelievable.
it's great to watch because
Yeah.
you'll watch a men's game and Neymar will get lightly touched and he'll go down like he needs to be
The
in
women
a
are-
wheelchair.
the
And
women are tougher
Play
than
through
the
it. Yeah,
guys.
they play through it.
Yeah,
Which is
that-
what we want to watch.
The point when women play soccer, the point is to not get pushed off the ball.
Yeah.
In men's soccer, it's like the point is, please push me so I can fall over
Yeah.
and embellish and get a penalty. Yeah.
So Drive to Survive has been fantastic.
Yep.
We watch it. We love it. Do you watch it back and just maybe make like a supercut of all the times you pissed Toto off and being like, this rules? Like, look how mad he is. I did that.
Well, do you know what? You get to see at the end of the year, they send through some of the cuts. And what you don't see is how they've put it with the other pieces. So you think, did I really say that?
Yeah.
Did I really, say the "see you next Tuesday" word or something like that?
Cunt.
And sometimes you think, where's this going? So I think we need that to be removed.
Yeah. It's an out of body experience to watch
that's-
yourself back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and then of course, then you see how they cut, because you think, what are they giving the guys on the other side as hard a time as they appear to be giving us? And then you see the whole thing come together. But you've got to remember they're making a show. I mean, it's like the Kardashians on wheels, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's...
I like that. That's very meta that you guys, like, the idea that you and Toto would complain to them that they showed you complaining more than the other person complaining.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what you're
That's
saying.
pretty much what you're saying, yeah.
So you watch every episode of it?
Have I watched every episode? I don't think I've seen all the episodes. I've seen the ones that are relevant to us.
To your team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see what information other people are getting about Red Bull and what's being distributed out there. Is there anything that you think has been unfair in general in the way that you've been portrayed or the team's been portrayed?
Well, you got to remember that they're making a story or making a show, and somebody's going to be the villain, somebody's going to be the hero, and sometimes they swap over, and there's an element of pantomime to it. I mean, the one thing that's consistent is just how fucking scary Gunther Steiner is.
Yes.
Yes. But that's the that's the consistent theme.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
Through all of the shows, what I've seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how is your relationship with Toto right now? Is it, if he called you and was like, hey, I want to get dinner with you, you'd be like, this is a prank? What are you doing?
I think he's blocked.
Oh, really?
No, it's fine. I mean, look, there's a healthy competition, and I think it's good to have rivalry in sport.
Yeah.
And they did a lot of winning. They're a great team, and now we're doing our thing, and we're tending not to look behind. We're looking forward, and it's not really about Toto. I mean, it's about Ferrari, about Aston Martin, and he's no doubt got his challenges. So I'll let him focus on those.
I'll correct you. It's great for sport to have rivalry. That's what we watch for.
Absolutely.
Like that is, you want to see. There's nothing better than when two teams don't like each other and the stakes get higher and higher and higher.
Yeah.
And you get invested in your team. It's
Yeah.
the best.
Well, it's boring if everybody just loves each other and whatever. You've got to have a rivalry, and it's got to fire people up, and I think that fires the fans up as well. And there's always going to be people that support you and people that don't, and that will change from country to country that you go to.
Yeah.
So what about the supporters of the different racing teams? Is obviously in British football,
Yeah.
each team has their supporters, and they're known for different things. In racing, is it the same way?
Ferrari, it's a great brand, isn't it?
It is. It's cool. I wear a Ferrari shirt. I don't own a Ferrari, but I wear it just so people think I own a Ferrari.
You see, you're a classic Ferrari.
Yeah, that's fine.
guy.
I don't take offense to
Poser.
that.
But look, it's great to have so many iconic brands, and what we see is just this fan base growing and growing, and not just for the team but for the drivers. I mean, you see the support there is for Max when he's his Orange Army traveling around the world for such a little country. Those guys get around, and then when we race in Zandvoort or Belgium, it's unbelievable. And then we got the Mexicans, which is that's just insane that weekend when we go to. So we got about 4 or 5 home races.
Yeah.
That's
during the year.
Smart.
Yeah.
Who are the hooligans?
The hooligans.
Yeah, which team do the hooligans support?
Which team is the hooligans? Well, that's probably us.
Yeah.
We're a bit edgy.
Well, I see that you're a company man. You're drinking a Red Bull right now. We do that. We drink 6 Coors Lights before.
But I think
every
look, we
episode.
play our music loud. We're a really bad neighbor. Everybody's enjoying what they're doing. They're doing it with a smile on their face. We do things a bit differently. We're not as corporate. Nobody in our factory wears a tie. They probably wouldn't get in the factory if they wore a tie. There's very much a jeans and t-shirt kind of culture in the design functions and so on. So it's just a different culture, and every team has its own characteristic. And I think the Red Bull one epitomizes, who we are. And it's got to be fun. It's got to be. If you don't enjoy what you do, why do it?
Yeah. All right. So last question. This has been fantastic. Best of luck in Miami. Before Max and Checo come into the room, who do you love more?
Well, look, I love all my children equally.
Oh, shoot. They're in the room.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize they were in the room. Oh, no. That was my mistake.
Well, there you go. Yeah. I mean, have you got kids?
Yeah.
You love one more than the other?
Yeah, my daughter.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. That's the easy answer.
Okay, that's
Sorry, I mean,
that's,
it is. It's
that's
just
kind
an
of
easy-
romantic. In
easy
the
answer.
UK, we'd never say anything like that. I mean,
I love it. People do that to me all the time, and I
Yeah.
just am like, yeah, my daughter, and they don't know what to say. All right. Well, thank you so much, Christian. We really appreciate it. Best of luck in Miami. Very
good.
fun to do this in person. And if you want to troll on the mic, we'll have your back. So
okay, that's
just
good to
think
know.
about it.
That's
Think
good to
about
know.
it. Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.